Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
soldierly virtue. This high name of distinction and soldierly repute we who are Marines today have received from those who preceded us in the Corps. With it, we also receive from them the eternal spirit which has animated our Corps from generation to generation and has been the distinguishing mark of the Marines in every age. So long as that spirit continues to flourish, Marines will be found equal to every emergency in the future as they have been in the past, and the men of our nation will regard us as a worthy successor to the long line of illustrious men who have served as soldiers of the sea since the founding of the Corps. The inspiring message of our 13th Commandant has left its mark in the hearts and minds of all Marines. By deed and act, from Guadalcanal to Iwo Jima, from Incheon to the Korean Armistice, in interventions from Lebanon to the Dominican Republic, and from the opening battles in Vietnam to the Gulf Desert Storm. Marines have continued to epitomize those qualities which are their legacy. The success which they have achieved in combat and the faith they have borne in peace will continue. The Commandant and our many friends have added their hearty praise and congratulations on this, our 217th birthday.
Fields on which Marines have fought and died. I've walked the sands of Wake Island, looked on Battleship Row in Pearl Harbor, looked down the landing beaches at Guam, and laid a wreath at Belleau Wood. I've looked in the eyes of those who fought at Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, the Chosin Reservoir, Hue City, and in Desert Storm. These momentous and humbling events, but even more so, the look in the eyes of those who carved those niches in history, caused me to pause and ask myself again, what is it that makes Marines? It's not something you can touch or measure or even explain. It's a mystique, a spirit, the spirit of the Corps. We're Marines because we choose to be something more than just ourselves. We seek a challenge. We spend hard times away from home and family. We hope never to be second into line. And we fight and die simply because we're Marines and our nation calls us. That's the spirit of the Corps. We serve with pride in those who've gone before us, those who serve beside us, and those who will follow us. We're part of an unbreakable 217-year bond of courage, honor, comradeship, valor, and pride. These are intangible things such as regiments hand down forever. They are the spirit of the Corps. As we celebrate the 217th year of this extraordinary band which we are privileged to be a part, let me say simply, as I have before, stand tall, your United States Marines. So long as you do, the spirit of our Corps will go on forever. Happy birthday, Marines. C.E. Mundy, Jr., General, United States Marine Corps.
In fixing up the landscape, we also sent a crew to Grenada in which they refurbished the schoolhouse. They got an outstanding job. A message from General from the 4th Marine Division for a job well done. And in peacetime, they've honored themselves. Tonight, with everybody here, I'd like to celebrate the Marines of Bravo Company, past and present. Our guest speaker tonight, Harry McCracken, served with the 4th Marine Division, Echo Company, 2nd Battalion, 25th Marines. He joined the Marine Corps in August of 1942. He participated in the Marshall Islands on January 31, 1944, and secured the island. He then went to the Saipan and the Marina Islands on June 15th and was wounded on June 18th. He was discharged from the Marine Corps in 1945. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like for you to welcome Mr. Harry McCracken.
First, let me say happy birthday, Marines. Welcome one and all. I am very grateful for the privilege of being chosen to be the speaker tonight. A U.S. Marine has to be a special person. No one felt any prouder to wear our uniform than I. And I know all of you here have the same feelings, and you should. I'm getting on a bit in years, and to be here after World War II with the great thoughts and sad ones too, experience with my buddies will always be with me. I have never made a speech before in front of so many people. I tried practicing the speech to my wife, but she won't listen either. It's not easy up here, and I hope you can bear with me. Looking at you young Marines and former Marines, whether combat experience or not, inspires me to say we will get the job done if and when called to do so. The Marine Corps, the best and bravest of America's military elite, spanning the many years since November 10, 1775, that the Marine Corps has been the toughest, most determined branch of the U.S. Armed Forces. I will emphasize a Marine is a Marine because he wants to be. My fellow Marines, I remember with devotion and pride the major battles, Tripoli in 1805, the halls of Montezuma in Mexico City during the Mexican War in 1847, and in 1918, Marines fought one of their greatest battles at Bellewood in France during World War I, and the French named the area the Wood of the Brigade of Marines. German intelligence evaluated the Marines as stormtroopers, the highest rating on the enemy fighting scale. Other battles during World War I were at Chateau Thierry, Mont Blanc, and etc. In 1942, Marines invaded Guadalcanal and Solomon Islands and launched the first United States offensive of World War II. Central Pacific campaigns brought the Allies victory in World War II. The Marines under General Howling, can I use this? Howling Mad Smith, who General Howling M. Smith was the first to lead the westward sweep. Through the Solomons, the Gilbert, the Marshalls, the Marianos, Palau, and can we forget? The Marines seized Iwo Jima in the Western Pacific volcano islands in the largest all Marine battles in history. The strength of the Marine Corps reached nearly 500,000 during World War II. In 1950, as the conflict in Korea tested the Marine Corps combat readiness, the Marines arrived to help rescue the crumbling Pusan perimeter, to make an amphibious landing at Incheon. And after the Chinese Communist troops entered the war, Marines smashed 7 enemy divisions in their march from the Chosun Reservoir. Korea underscored the fact that the military principles, virtues, which the Marine Corps stood, remained as sound in 53 as they had been in 1775. Our Marines served with valor and distinction during the Vietnam conflict and last year's Desert Storm. I have just briefly touched on some of the red letter dates and campaigns in our history. We all know there were many, many more. This evening shall and will be a happy time for us, so let's get with it, okay? I will now ask you, encourage you, and beg you to join our Marine Corps League. This is a little club. But we know you will absolutely enjoy the warm atmosphere and friendship. Bring your ladies too. We will be happy to take your dues. Thank you for having me and bearing with me. I am proud of you all, and to be here, finally, I'm so happy and thankful for this opportunity. Again, Marines, happy 217th birthday, Semper Fi. And remember,
First Sergeant Siri was born on September 21st, 1948, and enlisted in the Marine Corps on March 22nd, 1967. He has served with Company B since January 15th, 1977. He is a veteran of both the Vietnam and Gulf Wars. The last piece of cake is being presented to the youngest Marine, Lance Corporal Jeremy M. Puen. Lance Corporal Puen was born on March 3rd, 1973, and enlisted in the Marine Corps Reserves on July 25th, 1990. He has served with Company B since December 27th, 1991. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated throughout the retirement ceremony. Attention to orders. Certificate of Retirement from the United States Marine Corps Reserve. First Sergeant Thomas E. Branson is awarded this testimonial as an acknowledgement of duty faithfully performed. Done at Washington, D.C., this first day of September in the year of our Lord, 1992. C.E. Mundy, Jr., General, United States Marine Corps, Commandant of Marine Corps. Certificate of Appreciation for service in the Armed Forces of the United States. First Sergeant Thomas E. Branson, United States Marine Corps Reserve. I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud tradition of the military service. I trust that in the coming years you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purposes for which you served. My best wishes for you for happiness and success in the future. George Bush, Commander-in-Chief.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a sad day here, but a joyous day. First Sergeant Branson is the first sergeant as a company commander that you're tickled to death to have. You don't have to ask for anything. He comes up and tells you what's going to happen, and you say, okay, First Sergeant, I'll do whatever you say. He's a motivator, gets the job done. All the Marines look up to him, and he's done his job. He's ready to go on and pursue a civilian career. Wish him all the best of luck. We gave him an opportunity at the last drill to speak, but he said, I'd rather come here, be retired on the birthday, and say a few words. First Sergeant Branson, the microphone's all yours.
Yeah, let's work on that, Marines. Let's work on that. Okay, this day comes with mixed emotions. It's been a major accomplishment for me. I've been at it a long time. It's a very sad day as well as a happy day. And one consolation is I know Gunnery Sergeant Soon will take good care of Bravo Company, and the NCOs will continue to pass on the traditions that we've had. Somebody passed them on to me 24 years ago, and I hope I've done my job on it. I was contracted till 1995, and a good shot at making Sergeant Major. I said, well, if I make Sergeant Major, I got to leave this company. I took the Desert Storm. And I made a little vow over there in its sandy little desert, and I told Gunny Siri, I said, this is the company I want to retire with. For all those Marines that went to Desert Storm and those that stayed back, God bless each and every one of you, and happy birthday.
This is my Uncle Harry. This is Uncle Harry on Sunday, April 25th, 1993. The purpose of this video is to record once and for all for history the actual battle in which Uncle Harry was wounded, which for some reasons, folks, is not only emotional, but probably a turning point in his life. Because from that point on, he wasn't the same boy that went off into the Marines, that came out a man. And so today, we're going to interview Harry McCracken, almost 50 years since he went in, and find out exactly, for history, how it happened. Uncle Harry, the video camera's yours. Look into the camera and take your time and tell us in as much detail as you can what that day looked like.
Well, actually, it was 51 years ago, because I went in 42 of August. And I thought it was going to be like a Boy Scout operation. In fact, I was petrified when I went to Paris Island in 1942. It was hot. And the DIs were not like anything I ever experienced in my life. They were surely not like your mother, that's for sure. But anyway, that things got underway. We went through our basic training up in New River, North Carolina. We were there for about a year, and then we were shipped to the West Coast, where we boarded a transport and get ready to go overseas in January of 44. There we participated in the Battle of the Marshall Islands, which took us to 3 months to secure island hopping from island to island, killing Japs.
But Harry, you talk about going into those battles. I mean, how long will you be in combat? Would you be in combat for a day, 2 days, 3 days? What was your days like when you're in combat there?
Well, the food was scarce. It was hard living like they did in Europe with the army and so forth. But you carry on no matter what. I mean, a body is a hard thing to destroy, or to kill for that matter. But anyway, from there we went from the Marshall Islands back to Maui and the Hawaiian Islands to rest. Then we went on in June of 44, where we went into the Marianas and attacked Saipan, where there were 2 divisions of Japanese there. And we hit with 2 divisions of our own, and it took us around a month to secure that island. The Japs were really dug in deep and strong, and we had to get them out of the mountain caves with flamethrowers, because that was the only way to get them out. Shells didn't bother them too much. The Jap is a hard enemy to kill. He's a fanatic. He doesn't care about his life like a German does, so it made the job much harder. But being Marines, we're taught to go forward, not to look back or go back. And we did finally secure Saipan and took on Tinian, and then we went on to that big job, Iwo Jima, which was the costliest battle on my division, where only probably left was 17,000 men killed out of the division.
How many men in the division, Harry?
20,000.
Only 3,000 survived.
Survived, and they were most of them were wounded. But you get reinforcements, you know, you get new troops coming in to replace the ones that got killed or wounded.
How long were you in the Marine Corps?
Altogether, 2.5 years.
And how long were you in combat?
Combat for 6 months.
In the 6 months of combat, how many days were spent in assault, and how many days were spent mustering?
Well, in the Marshall Islands, we were there for approximately 3 months. As I explained to you, there were Japs on all these islands. The Marshall Islands is the biggest atoll in the world. And there were Japs on all these little islands which we had to secure. We couldn't leave anything alive because they could rebuild themselves and come at us again. But anyway, I got wounded on Saipan on the second day, and I spent 7 months in the hospital, and I'm glad to be one of the fortunate ones.
Could you tell us could you tell us in detail, Harry, pretty much what happened that day? You woke up at 5 o'clock, whatever, and started to go. Take us through that day up until you got wounded.
Well, we got up that morning on the 15th of June, 1944, and we circled for about an hour, and then we went in on these things they call ducks. They were like a tank, but they could travel on water and travel on land. And they'd come out of the bow of the ship would open, and these tractors would come out, holding roughly 18 men. And we came in, and the Japs really blasted us. A lot of them ducks never made the land. They were blown up right in the ocean. But that's the price of war, and that's the chances you know you're going to have to take. A lot of guys were vomiting. They were sick because they were scared, or they were sick from the riding in the ducks, but whatever. I say Marines are not immortals, but they're human like everybody else. But we went in, and anyway, we had a heck of a time getting off the beach. But we finally moved in, and my company was caught in an open field between two machine guns. The Japs were throwing mortar shells over, and we were really pinned down, and most of my company was getting wiped out right there, and the word came back to withdraw. And after I got wounded with shrapnel from the mortar shell, I stood up to withdraw, and I was hit with two machine gun bullets in the chest.
Now, Harry, tell us, for example, you say you were wounded with shrapnel. How long were you wounded before you stood up?
Approximately about 15 minutes.
You were bleeding.
Bleeding very heavily through my dungarees. My dun was practically just hanging by skin. The whole inside of it was blown out, and the blood was gushing out of my dungaree, out of my arm.
Now,
I probably lost a lot of blood right there.
Show us, if you could, Uncle Harry. Show us the thumb where you got wounded.
Well, the thumb. This is the thumb here that was blown away, and part of the finger. And up here through my arm, I got another hunk of shrapnel hit me there. And as I stood up, as I say, about 15 minutes later, as I recollect, the two machine gun bullets hit me right through and just came out my back.
Pull that shirt down just a little bit more. I want to get, and lean back. Let me see the way you can see the shape of those two bullet holes. Thank you. That's from a machine gun.
I lost a lot of my good friends right at that point where I got wounded. A lot of men got killed.
After you got shot, you're talking about?
Well, during that skirmish.
During that skirmish. How long did the skirmish last?
Well, I would say approximately about a half hour altogether.
And this was taking an airfield in Saipan?
We were headed to take a Slido airfield, the Japs' own airfield. We were supposed to take that, and eventually we did. But it cost a lot of people to do this. But as I say, when you're on a beach, you're in hand-to-hand combat, you're always facing the enemy, he's always looking at you, and you're looking at them. It's not a thing like you have to win a war by artillery. This is close combat.
Let me ask you this. After you got shot, you fell down. Do you remember laying there? Do you remember what happened next?
Well, when I got shot in the chest, I got up and I struggled and I fell into a burnt out sugarcane field, and I lay there bleeding. A time went by, I don't remember how long. I know I lost a lot of blood. I know I was going to bleed to death if something didn't happen quick. I felt an arm on my back of my dungaree, and at that point I didn't care whether it was Japanese or Marine, because I felt nothing. I didn't care about anything. But I heard him say Mac Boy, which was my name, Mac, they called me, a lot of them, and he dragged me with himself wounded in the leg, and in the back he had hit with shrapnel. He was bent over. The man was 6'3", but he was bent over from the shrapnel, and he dragged me a half a mile back to the beach. Otherwise, I would have died right there.
Now tell me, Uncle Harry. Tell me, for example, when you got to the beach, you started to explain to me at night, they made you stay on the beach for days waiting for the transport?
No, we were waiting actually for the hospital ship, but leaving us there was the Japanese were strafing the beach and bombing the beach. And they kept moving us around inland and hiding us behind trees, bringing us back to the beach. A word came that the transports would take some Marines aboard because otherwise we would have died of not getting operated on. A lot of people did die on the beach from loss of blood or shock or whatever. And finally we got aboard after 9 days and nights.
9 days on the beach avoiding the Japanese?
After I was wounded, 9 days we laid on the beach, and then finally they put us on a transport, and we were on a transport for about 2 days after I got operated on, and a hospital ship arrived and took us back to the Marshall Islands, and from then on it was just all hospitals until I got discharged in January 45.
Now tell me, when you got on the hospital ship, could you describe what it was like being on that hospital ship?
It was like being on a yacht. They treated you royalty. They gave you all new dungarees to wear at night. It was lit up like a Christmas tree because the Japs did respect the fact that it was a Red Cross ship, and we had the same respect for their wounded on their ships. We sailed along like we was on an ocean voyage. We were getting hot chocolate and nurses pampered us, and we loved it. But at the same time, we were in a lot of pain, especially when it came to getting your dressings. They sit you in a white chair, like an electric chair, and they strap your arms and your chest. And 2 corpsmen are holding your shoulders back. Now comes the changing of the bandages, which has been on for approximately 2 weeks. And they cut away, and as they do, they're ripping away flesh and everything with it, and you see pus, water, and blood flowing all over the place. And then when they pulled that off here, that was painful enough. I passed out, and that was the best thing I could have done. Otherwise, I would have absorbed more pain. And then they pulled them out of my chest. They had cotton with Vaseline that was originally put in there. It was all dried out. And as they pulled them in, you thought your chest was coming out of your body. But the dressing was more painful than getting wounded.
How long was the journey on that hospital ship you spent? So you got wounded on 15
It took
June.
us about a week to get back to the Marshall Islands, which we took originally. And we were taken over by the U.S. Army for a short time, maybe a week. And then we were put on a transport and went back to Hawaii, where I was in Aiea Heights, which is right outside of Pearl Harbor. I was there for approximately 3 months. Then I was shipped back to the Seattle Naval Hospital, and I was there for about 2 weeks, and then I finished up at St. Albans in Long Island and discharged at the Brooklyn Naval Hospital. And that's my story of the Marines, and I'm proud to be a Marine, and I'll die a Marine.
Any words to say to any of the future Marines out there? Any words of wisdom or pieces of advice?
There's only one word Marines know is give them hell and get the job done. There's no other way to put it. That's what we're trained for, and that's what we do, and that's what's expected of us.
Well, I can tell you that we're very proud of you, and I must tell you that for the 50 years that you're a Marine, you've certainly given the Corps a man of a lot of respect, because you've only spoken highly of it and wouldn't allow anybody to speak against it. And during the Vietnam War, when people were against us, I remember how proud I was that you always made us feel good. Well, at this point, let me come right over and shake your hand and tell you how proud I am to have you as an uncle my whole life, and that I love you.
I love you too. And for a PS to this is my favorite nephew.
All right, now it's recorded for history. Let all those who didn't send cards eat crow. And as the famous words of the President Truman, give him hell, Harry.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Boswells?
Yeah, the Boswell.
All right, now girls.
Now be nice.
Girls, tell me a little bit about yourselves. Will you, Susie Poo Poo, I can't see your eyes.
You wouldn't want to see that.
How about your ass? All right, nice language for the camera. This is not a children's recording. This is rated R for raunchy.
Yes.
Gee, there's so much white there, it's like a tornado with sunglasses.
We had such a great time yesterday going to the Marine base.
Catherine, would you mind telling us a little bit about what happened yesterday?
Yes, we went to the Marine base.
Yes?
And they would not accept my brother Harry's card, but they accepted mine.
Now, let me ask you this, Catherine. What kind of a card do you have?
I have a husband, my husband was killed in the service.
Now, tell me, who was your husband?
Michael Honorado.
And tell me a little bit about, he went into what branch of the service?
He was in the Army.
Now, how long was he in the Army?
How long was he in altogether? Well, he went in August and he was killed in January.
Of what year?
1942 he went in, he was killed in 1943.
And he was killed where?
Tunisia, Africa, Tunisia, Africa,
Tunisia, North Africa.
North Africa.
In January of
January
1940.
1943.
And
He was with the
any
First
idea how he
Army
was
Division.
killed? He was with, I'm sorry.
First Army Division.
And any idea on how he was killed?
And he was supposed to have been blown to bits.
I see. And as a result, you were given a widow's,
Card. Can take this card onto any base.
and you get a pension?
Yes, I do.
Very good. Aunt Sue, you're sitting right next to Aunt Kay. Tell me, Aunt Sue, tell me a little bit about your family. How many were you one of?
13.
13.
13.
How many brothers and sisters?
6 boys and 7 girls.
Wow. And where were you raised?
In a small town in Michigan, it's called Chesney. You want me to spell it for you?
All right.
C-H, a capital C, H-E-S-A-N-I-N-G.
Now tell me, what was life like on the farm there? What did you do?
Just live. If I didn't have to work, I was too young at the time.
Did you have chores?
Oh yeah, we had to pump water for the cows and horses and feed the chickens, gather eggs, and all those good things.
I see. And then you moved where? Did you move to Indiana or?
No. I lived in Chesney until, let's see, can't remember. Oh, yeah, I lived there. Well, I've been in Indiana 42 years.
That's a good answer. Now, Catherine, Susan's background with horses and chickens and cows and pumping water, that was similar to a city background, wasn't it?
Oh, yes.
Now, did you feed the roaches and the rats?
Yes, I did.
Or the pigeons?
Went down the hall and went to the bathroom.
Tell us,
Or went down in the back.
you say that you had different experiences growing up. How many different apartments did you live in, do you recall?
About 98.
Right. And tell me, probably if you could, tell me one of the happiest moments you remember of your childhood. Seriously. One of the happiest days.
I don't remember any, Anthony.
Okay.
I don't.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Susie, do you recall a day that was better than others? Particular day, maybe you got a new pony or something? Did you tell us a day you thought was a happy day in your childhood?
We were just happy, just a happy-go-lucky family.
Are you still happy-go-lucky?
Yes.
You all get along?
Oh, yes.
Big time. Okay, girls, well, listen, I just wanted to put you in the history books. So today, as I record history with Uncle Harry, I have the 2 women that were very important in his life. His sister, the oldest of the McCracken girls, and his wife, who everyone says is the best thing that ever happened to Harry.
Well, you better know that.
He do.
Do you know that, Harry?
Thank you very much.
You know that.